For Autumn Winter 25, Rab have updated their entire Latok family. Now, the Latok has been in their range for a number of years and is a bit of a legend when it comes to mountaineering hardshell territory. There have been some quite exciting updates for this season, so we'll get stuck into them. There are 3 members of the family. We've got the Latok Alpine, which is the shell I'm currently wearing. There is just the Latok Gore-Tex and the Latok Mountain. Now, all of them share a lot of core Latok DNA, but they are designed for slightly different purposes. So we'll break down a lot of the similarities and then go into some of the differences between the jackets. A few weeks ago, we were fortunate enough to be invited up to the Lake District by Rab to test out some of their new Latok range and some of their Ascender packs. More on the Ascender packs in another video coming soon. It was a really good opportunity to put the Latok shells through their paces, and fortunately, because there are 3 of us in the marketing department, we could try each of the shells independently. So in any of the footage that are going to be on screen, I'll be wearing the Latok Alpine, Ralph will be in the Latok, and Lucy will be in the Latok Mountain. Now, whilst we didn't get to test them and actually climb in them and do any mountaineering, we went on a very soggy walk up to the summit of Old Man of Coniston with some spectacular views. We didn't see a thing at the top. It was very wet. We only started to see some of the views when we were coming back down. But that was a really good test of new Gore-Tex Pro EPE, and also an opportunity to test out some of the other features of the Latok range. Because at their core, everything in the Latok family is designed to be a waterproof hardshell. Yes, they're designed for a little bit more specific outdoor pursuits, but you can absolutely use them as a general purpose outdoor jacket if you choose. So first off, let's talk about that shared Latok DNA that is through all 3 of these jackets. Now, all of the Latok family share the same Gore-Tex EPE, Gore-Tex Pro waterproof membrane. So they're guaranteed to keep you dry, that is Gore-Tex's promise. So all of them share that same membrane, but there are a few material differences that I'll go into when I talk about some of the specific jackets. All of them also share a PFC-free DWR coating. So that's the water repellent coating on the outer of the jacket, the one that you will need to replenish and rejuvenate over time to keep the jackets performing at their best. But they all share exactly the same PFC-free DWR. All of them feature 2-way YKK AquaGuard zippers as their main zip, and they've all got a storm placket behind that as well as a popper and being able to ventilate that way. So they are all, in some respects, harness compatible. A little bit more on that later though. All of the zips on all of the jackets are YKK AquaGuard, so they all share under armpit zips. So you can, that's one zip, ventilate all of them under the pits, which is a nice touch. And any external pockets are also YKK AquaGuard. All of them feature an articulated fit, so you do have articulation and pre-articulation in the sleeves, so they move very well with you. Along with that, they all have nice oversized Velcro adjustable cuffs, which are easily operatable with mitts, if you so choose, and the openings for the sleeves are also nice and big, and you do get a slightly extended cuff over the back of the hand. If any rainwater is running down your sleeves, it will ideally then run off over your gloves. All of them feature adjustable, again, mitt compatible draw cords, so fully adjustable so you can adjust them in. And a nice touch on all of them is that the draw cords are actually angled so that they sit and tuck underneath the shell. Something that Rab thought about there to keep them tucked out of the way so you don't have cords flapping around, moving around if the weather is a bit questionable, or if you're climbing and using things where you really don't want to be catching crampons, ice axe points, any other kind of climbing gear in any loops. So they tuck away really nicely, and that's something that features on all of the jackets. Now, one last feature that all of the jackets share, and a few other products within Rab's range we're starting to see it integrated a little bit more and more, is they all feature Reco reflectors. So they're all in the sleeve of the jackets. Now, I should point out that Reco is there as an added benefit. It is not there to admonish you of any responsibility. You should always be using your best judgment and use caution when you are out in the wild, because it can be a dangerous environment. But it's nice having a bit of extra peace of mind that Reco has been included. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about Reco, we do have a blog post which I'll link on screen now for you. Now it's worth getting stuck into some of the differences between the Latok range, because there are a few differences that will make them a little bit more specific to individual mountain sports. Not to say that you can't use any of these shells for the other mountain sports or as a little bit more of a general hard-wearing outdoor shell, but they are a little bit more specific in their feature set. So it's worth tuning in to make sure you pick the right Latok range jacket for you. Storage is the first place where you start to see some material differences between the range. I'm in the Alpine here, and all of the pockets are harness compatible. So they're nicely tucked out of the way to be harness compatible, so you've got a slightly higher line pocket. That's exactly the same with the Latok jacket and the Latok mountain. So they all feature the same hand pocket layout. Some of them are slightly more visible, their position changes ever so slightly, but they are all designed to be harness compatible. The Latok and the Alpine, designed for climbing harness compatibility, the mountain a little bit more so for rucksack harness compatibility, but you can wear it with climbing harness too. Now, the Alpine then has one Napoleon pocket. I've got my microphone on this pocket so I can't open it right now, but that Napoleon pocket is a nice feature on the outside for a bit of additional storage. Same goes for mountain, and then the Latok gets an upgrade to 2 Napoleon pockets. If you carry over to the inside, you also see a closed pocket on the inside of all of the jackets, and in the Alpine and the Latok Gore-Tex, you also have an open stash pocket. The mountain does not feature that stash pocket, so that's a feature difference that might be worth considering if you planned on using it for storing gloves, hats, sunglasses, any sort of smaller items that you want to keep closer to your body and potentially a little bit warmer and guaranteed to keep dry. Any electronics and things you should always be keeping on the inside in those pockets or in a mid layer rather than the outside pockets, just for absolute peace of mind. The other 2 big things that differentiate all of these shells are the hoods and the material choices that Rab have gone for. Now for the hoods, the Latok Alpine and Latok Gore-Tex feature 3-point adjustable hoods that are fully helmet compatible. The Latok Mountain, on the other hand, has a mountain hood, which is a 2-point adjustable hood that Rab do not specifically state is helmet compatible. If you need to, you can get a helmet underneath it, but it is not quite as roomy as with other shells within the range. So the Alpine and the Latok do feature a fully helmet compatible hood. So do bear that in mind, especially if you planned on using something like the Latok Mountain for winter climbing, where you may be wearing a beanie underneath your helmet, which then raises it up a little bit more, or if you planned on using these as a ski shell, your mileage may vary. So it's worth checking to make sure that you have the right jacket for where you're using it. If you're planning on doing a lot of climbing, a lot of skimo, anything like that, then you probably want to be looking more towards the Latok Alpine, or realistically, the Latok Gore-Tex over the Latok Mountain. Now let's get stuck into the fabric differences, because that's where things get a little bit interesting and where Rab have made some choices that again further streamline the range so that it should be quite clear which jacket you use for which pursuit. The Alpine that I've got on sits bang in the middle of the 2. All of that will become a little bit clearer, especially when I talk about the mountain. So the Alpine features a 40 denier polyamide with a recycled content. But this 40 denier fabric is lighter, it's more compliant, the jacket packs down smaller. So this is the smallest packing jacket of the range. And if you're after a burly mountaineering shell that packs down as small as possible, then the Latok Alpine is probably the shell for you. It's not going to be as durable as the other 2 because they do feature heavier denier materials, but as a consequence of that, the Latok Gore-Tex is a heavier jacket overall. It's going to be more abrasion resistant, it's going to be tougher, but it's not going to pack down quite small, and it's going to weigh more in your pack. So the Latok Alpine is 40 denier all over, which makes it feel nice and light, and then you move over to the Latok Gore-Tex, which then has 80 denier all over. So that thing's a real fortress. It feels really burly, really hard wearing, but the fabric is not so tough that it feels uncomfortable to wear. And that's also part in thanks to Gore-Tex's EPE membrane. The EPE membrane itself is thinner than an EPTFE membrane. So when laminated in the way that it is for all of these jackets, the jackets have a slightly softer handle to them. The fabric moves a little bit more comfortably. It's not quite as crinkly and rustly as older Gore-Tex Pro hard shells. Now, I said that this jacket was in the middle, and that's with good reason, because this is 40 denier, the Latok is 80 denier. The Latok Mountain is a mixture of 40 and 80 denier. Now, Rab have been quite clever here, because with the Latok Mountain, they've chosen areas where you're going to see less wear and less impact to use a lighter denier, so the 40 denier fabric they've used in the main body. And then over the sleeves, over the shoulders, they have used an 80 denier for more durability. And that hits a really nice sweet spot. So if you're going to be using the Latok Mountain for scrambling, wearing with a heavy loaded pack over long distances, you have the durability where you need it, but then in the main body, you have a little bit more breathability, a lighter weight material. So the balance there is that you get a jacket that performs really well across a number of circumstances, which is why Rab have chosen to put a general hood on it rather than a full helmet compatible hood, because it gives you that versatility. So there we have it, a rundown of the Latok family from Rab, new for autumn winter 25. If you have any questions about anything within the Rab Latok range or anything else that we can help you with, please do as always pop them down in the comments and we will get back to you. We'll see you in the next one.